Submission can contribute to great evil on one hand or a great good on the other. Islam means submission to God, but some misuse this principle by submitting to misled men rather than God and performing destructive acts that kill innocent people. Others may submit to a cause that may bring greater freedom, like the soldiers under General Washington. Correct submission is an essential ingredient to creating any organization of value. Even if the disciple has freed himself from the beast of unjust, unearned authority, there will be times in life that submission will be necessary to an imperfect path. The tendency of one who has recently freed himself from unjust control is to throw out all control and submission. All seekers do this for a period of time, but they must eventually realize that their next stage of progression involves group work on a higher level than the past. In a group, all must be willing to submit to group will that may be a little different than his own. Let us use a football team as an example. Often a player doesn't get the playing time he wants, the position he wants, or the recognition he wants. He also does not agree with all the calls made by the coach. But even though there are many things that does not go his way, he cooperates with all his strength in an attempt to win the game. No one gets their way 100% in a group, but to give the group life, all members must submit to group will for the good of the whole. If such submission goes against his principles or the will of the soul, then he should withdraw from the group and find another. All of us are forced to live in a country with laws that require submission. We can sometimes choose our country, but we can't choose to live in a country with no laws to affect us. No country has a perfect system of laws, so there will be some that each individual will not like. Very few like high taxes, for example. Here we are forced to submit or we risk paying a penalty. It is usually best for the seeker to obey the laws unless there is some higher purpose in violating them. Many evolved souls spend an excessive amount of time resisting the laws of the land when they could just submit and direct their attention to creating a positive plan that will move them forward on the path. The advance of the disciple proceeds much more smoothly if he is not distracted by unnecessary struggles of his own making. Once the inner voice is discovered, then the seeker has an obligation to continue to seek it on important matters. This doesn't mean that one has to stop and pursue a revelation on all questions. Instead, he must pay attention to what is happening within as he works in the world without. As one is proceeding with life's business, the one who pays attention will consistently register if the direction he is taking is correct. If it is not, perhaps the best description of what is felt inside is a disturbance in the Force, as they say in Star Wars. When the disciple feels this disturbance, he must stop, contemplate within, and sense the change in direction required by the soul, and then submit to it. When he correctly submits, he will feel a sense of spiritual relief and it will be much easier to move forward. On many issues, the higher self does not care which decision you make, as both paths may provide good learning experiences. If one doesn't feel inner guidance on a matter, then he must merely use his best judgment.